guys, welcome back to my kitchen. So I am going to do something today that could be, I guess, a little bit embarrassing. I am going to deep clean my refrigerator with you guys. So I am always spot cleaning things kind of as I see them come up, but there are always spills that happen that mama don't see. So I am going to get in there, get everything out, get rid of all of the food that is yucky, hopefully find some stuff in there that is still good, and in the process I'm going to get everything nice and clean. So for anybody who does once a month grocery shopping, you know that keeping your refrigerator clean and keeping the things that are good in there and the things that go bad, getting them out as soon as possible is really important. That can just kind of help you stay organized, and if you're only grocery shopping once a month, not forgetting that things are in your refrigerator is really, really important step. So I am going to take you guys along with me today and hopefully get my refrigerator nice and spotless by the end of the day today. So before we get started, I'm going to talk about what I'm using to clean. So the first thing I will say is I am going to use a bleach spray. So bleach is not something that I commonly use in my house at all. I really don't even use it in laundry. I do not like the smell of it. But when we're talking about the places that our food touches, I want to make sure that that is getting as clean as possible whenever I am deep cleaning that. So it is one of the very few places in my house that I will use bleach. That being said, I'm also just cleaning with paper towels today. I know that it's not the most eco-friendly or whatever, but I am going to use paper towels because I don't like using bleach on rags. So I'm going to throw on a apron just to keep any bleach sprays off of my clothes. I'm going to throw on an apron and then we can get started. Oop. There we go. I'm going to start out cleaning out my doors. So this is where we tend to keep like condiments and things that we just need to pull out really quickly. So I have things like jam, and what I like to do is just pull everything out and put it on the counter next to me. And if I find things like this that I don't know what it is, I'm going to set it aside, because if I don't know what it is, there's a really good chance that it's been in there for a long time. I also really like to use this opportunity to check expiration dates on everything and make sure that everything that we have in there is still in date. Because a lot of times we can have things like mustard or whatever and not even realize that it went out of date back in February, because it's just not something that I use a ton. So I am not going to put this back in my refrigerator because it is out of date. It also lets you kind of see the things that you do use a lot versus the things that you don't. So I love coming in and doing this a couple of times a year, because if there are things that I have had in my refrigerator, like that spicy brown mustard that I bought a long time ago and did not open or use, then it's probably not something that I'm going to add back to my grocery list. So I am just spraying in here, and I am using paper towels just to get as good of a deep clean as I can get. Sometimes these will come off of your refrigerator, and that just makes it a little bit easier to scrub. You might check too to see if these things can be put in the dishwasher, because sometimes they can, and that just makes it even easier to clean. I will say, since I'm using bleach, I'm trying to stay away from right here, because this is where our ice comes in, and I don't want to get any bleach right there. So I'm being cautious to not spray that. So I will stick these back on, and then anything that I am going to keep, I'm going to go ahead and put back in here, just making sure that I organize it as well as I can whenever it goes back in. I don't suggest this lime juice. So these are two things that I love to buy in like squeeze tubes. This is a tomato paste and anchovy paste. They are two things that I do not use a ton of, but having them right here in the door in a squeeze tube rather than buying them in a jar or in a can does allow me to just use like a tablespoon at a time, and that's really handy. So now we're going to flip over and do the other side of the door. All right, on this side we have some chocolate syrup, some more jam, ketchup, I found some dill that I forgot I had. So I am going to make sure and keep this front of my mind. If I start to run into a lot of things like this, I'll actually make a list to tell me, hey, these are the things that you don't want to forget that you have in here. So I am going to remember that I have this or write it down so that I can make something with some fresh dill this week. Otherwise, it's something that I have purchased that I will lose, and that will just be a waste of money, and I don't want to do that. So see, I also have some thyme. I want to make sure and keep all of my fresh herbs in one spot. That way I don't forget that I have them. My yeast, which I will probably refill. So I'm realizing that I have 2 Dijon mustards in here, which means that I put them one in here not realizing I had another. So this is a really good reason why you want to make sure and have everything cleaned out. All right, and then I will also pull all of these off and give these a good clean. Okay, so I have all of the little containers that go on my door completely cleaned out. So I am going to, before I put them back on, make sure that just this part of the door is just nice and clean. When I sprayed my drawers, I made sure and sprayed the back as well, because sometimes things can kind of ooze out onto the back. So I want to make sure and get that really clean too. Just for the sake of organization, I'm going to try to keep all of the things that kind of go for the same stuff together. So I'm going to keep all of our mayonnaise and Miracle Whip and mustard and ketchup all right here in the top. Actually, nope, ketchup's going to have to go on the bottom because it's too tall. So any of the tall stuff I'll put here on the bottom. And then I'm going to take these 2 and make sure and stick them right here, right in the front. That way, whenever I open my refrigerator door, they're one of the first things that I will see. I will say before I do anything else, I'm going to pull everything out of here. So as I pull it out, I will kind of look at all of my expiration dates and kind of how everything is. But because I'm using bleach, I don't want to just pull everything off of the top and spray it and then put things back. If you were using maybe like vinegar to clean or something like that, that would probably be okay. But because I'm using bleach, I want to be as cautious as I possibly can. So I am going to pull everything out, put it on my counter, and then that also will help me whenever I am putting everything back to make sure that I'm putting like things together and organizing it as well as I possibly can. I got everything out except for the stuff that is in the drawers. I am actually going to leave the stuff that's in the drawers right now because all of that is covered. So I'm not worried about any like spray from that. But the next thing that I do have to pull out is all of my butter. So I'm going to pull out all of my butter, and then I will be ready to start cleaning all of this. I'll let that sit for about 15 minutes with the doors closed just to kind of soften everything up that's in there. And I will say it is really gross. If you guys want to see a close-up, I will show you guys right now. Otherwise, you might want to fast forward. This is kind of what we're working with. I got everything sprayed really well. But man, stuff just spills and you just don't notice, especially in the back. Stuff just kind of gets scooted everywhere in the back. And then for us, this top shelf as well. So I'm really glad that this is finally getting cleaned because it clearly desperately needed it. And I am going to feel a lot better when I go to sleep tonight about what I am storing in my refrigerator with all of this. While I am waiting for all of that stuff to kind of sit, I was just going to show you guys. So this is the stuff that I took out that I am keeping. All of my butter I'm obviously keeping. And then this is the stuff that was in there. I'll clearly clean out those jars and store them. But a lot of this stuff was just either out of date or had gone bad or whatever. For whatever reason, it just, or was empty. There are a couple of these things that got used and then stuck back in there for whatever reason when they were empty. So we definitely are cleaning out a lot of trash today, and I am pretty happy about that. Let everything sit for about 15 minutes. So I am going to come in here now and start cleaning everything out, and I am going to use as many paper towels for this as is necessary. As I am cleaning, I'm finding some spots that are extra extra stuck on. So I'm going to give those another spray, and I'm going to let those sit while I wipe everything else down. I have gone about as far as I can go with paper towels. So I'm going to grab my Scrub Daddy. If you guys don't know what this is, they're available on Amazon. I think they were on Shark Tank. If you get them wet in cold water, they're really hard. And if you get them wet in hot water, then they soften up. And they work really, really great to scrub like any kind of stuck on stuff off of dishes. So I'm thinking that they're also going to work really, really great to help me clean any of the stuck on stuff off of this. And then one thing that I love about it is I can stick this in my dishwasher. So I'm going to rinse it out really, really well since I'm cleaning with bleach when I'm finished. And then I will stick it in my dishwasher to make sure that it gets really clean and gets all of that bleach out of there so that the next time I need it to scrub my dishes, I don't have to worry about having bleach stuck in it. Massive success. This thing is so gross right now and I definitely don't want to touch it, but it did loosen everything up. So now I'm going to be able to just grab some more paper towels and wipe everything down, and my shelf part of my refrigerator will be done. My shelf part is done, but before I put anything else back in here, I am going to clean all of this stuff out of the drawers too. So again, just because I'm using bleach, I don't want to have anything in my refrigerator that is food while I am spraying the bleach in there. So I'm going to pull everything out of the drawers and do everything in there that I just did in the shelves and on the doors. And it is clean. I am so pleased with this. It definitely needed it. We got all of our drawers cleaned out and they look great. I don't know if I'm the only one, but I had like a weird amount of cilantro leaves in my produce drawer, so I'm happy to have those done. So we have everything cleaned out. Looks like I could pull the drawers out and get underneath, but I'm not going to worry too much about that right now. But yeah, we have everything cleaned out, and so now we get to do the fun part and start putting everything back in. Everything is clean and it smells so much better in there, and so I am very excited about that. So the next thing that I'm going to do is start putting everything back in. So I'm going to start with the things that I know exactly where I'm going to put them, and butter is top of my list. I always keep a ton of butter. This thing is full to the max just right here in my refrigerator, so I am going to stick all of my butter back in there, and then we will go from there. My camera battery died, but I wanted to finish this with you guys. So I went ahead and finished putting everything in. This is like my meat drawer. That's not like stuff that goes from the refrigerator. This is not stuff that has come from the freezer. This is just stuff that we keep in, like sandwich meat, the bacon that I need to cook. And then we have our cheese drawer right here. And then the next thing that I'm going to fill up is our produce drawer. So I'm going to try to keep things together as well as I can. I'm going to put my lettuce all together. So anything that needs to get used first will always go in the front for me. So I'm going to stick my lettuce there. And then I have some spinach that I'm going to add in. And then from there, I'm going to add in just the stuff that is the longest that needs to go in. So I have celery. I have some cilantro that needs to get used, some avocados that need to get used. So these will go right in the front for me. Carrots, everything that I use for stock is going to go on that side. I have some jalapenos, some green onions. Those need to stay in the front because those both need to get used fairly quickly. I have some green grapes. Those will be good for a little bit, so I don't mind sticking those kind of in the back. I have some tomatoes just coming out of my garden. And then the last thing that I have in here is some blackberries, but I actually am not going to stick those in with the rest of the produce because I feel like that this is pretty full and that they will probably end up getting lost. So I am done repacking my produce drawer. The next thing that I keep in here are our drinks. So we always have some lemonade and some sweet tea, and I try to keep iced coffee in there too. So that's what's going to go like in this big section right here. Most of our dairy we do keep in our refrigerator drawers in our island, but we have a few things that we just can't keep in there. So I am going to go ahead and stick our cottage cheese in here, checking the expiration dates and making sure that they're, first of all, still good, and second of all, going to go in there in the order that they need to come out. So we have 2 cottage cheeses, which I plan to use for some recipes. And then I have a bunch of cream cheese that I will stack in there as well. I have my cottage cheese and my cream cheese, and I do have a couple of things that I don't know if they're really considered, well, this one is, but dairy, but I'm gonna stick them in here. So I have some feta and my tzatziki, which is yogurt based. So I consider that a dairy. So all of that is gonna go right there. And then this section right here is just gonna be like kind of the random things like pickles, some pickled jalapenos, a container of pizza sauce that is not empty but not out of date, so we're going to keep that. Some Better Than Bouillon, which I don't use a ton of, but I do like to keep it. My caramel sauce that I made, and my lime juice that I actually do use. So that is it. We are all finished cleaning out and reorganizing our refrigerator, and I have to say I feel pretty good about it. I definitely have some space, but the truth is I don't really have anything that I need from the grocery store right now. So even though I have some space in here, I am not going to run to fill it up. We have tons of the sandwich meats and things, and a bunch of cheese, and then again we have a bunch of our produce right here. Anything that is produce that needs to be refrigerated is in here. So I am extremely happy about how that has turned out. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me while I cleaned out and reorganized my refrigerator, and I hope that this is encouraging for you guys to get in your refrigerators and clean them out and reorganize them right now too. So thanks guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.